Now, I am in the unique position of having nearly all the logbooks apart from the Frostspawner, but, you know, many people I've asked, they say they don't count the Frostspawner logbook because of the limited time and the circumstances needed to get it. So that's why, yeah, fair enough. So with my exclusivity in of index, I can actually present to you all of everything, basically. And, for example, the abnormal appears in Molten and Fallen modes. Fallen mode is not actually a purple name tag, it's a pink name tag for some reason. And yes, this tag is actually slightly different to the Fallen Legacy, which is more purple than it is pink compared to, say, the enemy tag for the abnormal. And yes, when it says exclusive, it means not the traditional 3 or traditional 5 game modes, or Please Donate for some reason. I don't know why Please Donate is considered its own game mode, which is why here it says Abomination exclusive enemy, even though it appears not really exclusively. It appears in Polluted Wastelands 2. Now, obviously, this is being recorded before the Polluted Wastelands 2 rework. I don't know how many more logbooks I need to collect for that, but you know what? I'm going to assume there's going to be no more exclusive enemies added for that. As you can see, intermediate and casual is a pink, which is similar to Fallen mode, but intermediate and easy, they have like very similar green tags. For the balloon, it walks with the balloon on its back for some reason, which is very odd. Then we get the case of the non-loading entries and the duplicated entries. It's because when the developers reworked the game mode, so for example, they reworked Pizza Party in this case, they forgot to remove the legacy entry. So Balloon Kid has a legacy entry and a modern entry, even though the entry itself for the Balloon Kid is actually legacy because it runs on legacy code. You can see that when you spawn it into admin mode, for example. And yes, it doesn't have the string element here for some reason. Meanwhile, weirdly, for some reason, the Breaker has a separate entry for its enemies beta and the modern versions appearances for some reason. I don't know why. That being said, though, they do have separate stats. So this is a health of 15 and speed of 5.35. Meanwhile, the Breaker 20 and 6. However, it's the only Breaker enemy that does this. For example, the Breaker 2 doesn't have this, nor does like the Breaker 4. Additionally, because the Breaker 2 and the Breaker 4s are the only enemies to spawn naturally in all game modes, that's why they have the appears in all modes tag, while the Breaker 3 and Breaker 2, or Breaker 1, sorry, only have the exclusive enemy tag because they don't spawn in naturally, apart from Badlands 2, but as we've established, Badlands 2 is an exclusive game mode. Next, we got 2 circuits. Now, one of them is hardcore mode, I assume, and then one of them is Polluted Wastelands 2, which is why it's duplicated for some reason. But as we've established in the past, if you collect the circuit from if you collect it from like hardcore mode, you get it automatically for Polluted Wastelands 2, which is really odd. Except, no you don't, because the Polluted Wastelands 2 version is called the Circuit 2. So why the circuit has been duplicated, I have no idea. It shouldn't be duplicated because the Circuit 2 from Polluted Wastelands is called Circuit 2. Meanwhile, the Legacy circuit, actually both are Legacy circuits, but the circuit that appears in hardcore mode, you can only get it in hardcore mode. Citizen Plush, it calls it exclusive enemy. Like, this is the same for like returning event enemies, they'll call it exclusive enemies. You'll see it for like, for example, the Crying Angel. And the Operation Ice enemies are the only enemies to still have a description. The developers said they'll add it for other enemies, but they still have not yet done it. Like I said, developers, if you want, you can either chat GPT it, which, you know what, fair enough, or you can get me to write it. I have a history of writing stuff, aka look at my essays. Next, the clown. Yeah, it's very weird walking animations. It's like it's like moonwalking and the ball's not moving, fair enough. Meanwhile, the Cold Mist, it's missing its chain around its neck, the lock chain for some reason. It's meant to have it. In fact, the version in the game is also meant to have it as well, but it just didn't for some reason. Again, another weird thing is that the Demon has a legacy version from Halloween 2019, but that doesn't appear in the index as well, even though for some reason the Legacy Breaker appears in the index, even though I don't believe it can spawn into any game mode naturally. Weird. The Error, which appears in hardcore mode, is actually said to be from Fallen Legacy because it used to appear in Fallen Legacy mode, or the Legacy Fallen mode, whichever way you want to word it. But yeah, the reason why it's white is because it's a reflection of the skybox, and I believe the skybox in the lobby is just white, hence why it is not blue as it is on the icon, because a blue skybox would reflect the DVD on both the hand and the torso. Next, the Failed Experiment has no animation for some reason, which is lovely. It just T-poses like that. Very cool. Next, the Fallen. There's a Fallen Legacy entry and a modern Fallen entry. You only need to get one of them to get both the entries in the index for some reason. Next, the Fallen Guardian apparently appears in all modes except Molten Legacy. That's not true? Question mark? That is hilariously not true. It doesn't appear in, for example, Legacy Golden mode or even intermediate mode or hardcore mode. Well, it does think appear in hardcore mode. I lied about that. But yeah, that's just wrong. Next, we got duplicate fallen hero entries. Then we get the fallen honor guard, which is honestly the most annoying enemy to get after the dummy boss and the health cultist. Next, we have the fallen king. Interestingly, the fallen king doesn't have its legacy entry, even though, for example, the fallen does. I believe that's an automatic thing by developers for some reason, but you know what? Fair enough. Next, we've got duplicate fallen rushers entries, one for the fallen mode, one for exclusive, that being hardcore mode. Then we got separate fallen soul entries for one in this one being hardcore mode and this one being fallen mode. Then we get fallen swordmaster, obviously appearing in hardcore mode only, hence the exclusive enemy, and it's stripped out for some reason. Very cool, I guess. Again, this is an issue with the lobby. It's just the fact that they just textured it differently in the lobby because they've accidentally activated the new Roblox textures here. Yeah, something like the Fallen Titan, that's extremely ugly. I would like to point this out, by the way. The Frost Mystery, it mentions the lake in the original Outpost 32 where you could fall through the lake, and it mentions here, according to legend, these beings are created from those who fall through frozen lakes and never resurface. It's a reference to the original Outpost 32 map, which had an uncollidable lake for some reason. Here, the Frost Spirit's description is his Iraq pattern changes, attack obviously. Next, you might be confused why there's duplicate giant boss entries. That's because it actually appears in Badlands 2, I believe, which is why it's split across like this. Or well, it used to appear in Badlands 2, which is why there's a modern and a legacy variant, but there's only a legacy variant. It's complicated, I know, but you can still get it through hardcore mode. Next, the Gravedigger, it only appears the modern variant, not the legacy variant. 2 gunslinger entries, very cool, because of the reasons I said before, similar for the giant boss. However, there is one entry missing here. So here you got the hazmat. You may question, where is the hazard? Because that is a legacy fallen enemy, but you could actually get its logbook. In fact, I did get its logbook, but where is it? Well, it's a similar reason for why they removed the multi-boss logbook, because you can't really get it anymore. They removed it from the index. But I guess if you collected it while not having the admin game pass, you therefore can hypothetically spawn it in. But that's weird. And you may know this, but the icon for the hazard was actually incredibly small for some reason. I don't know why. This is like the first enemy that was like an evergreen enemy, but that's been removed, so you can't get its logbook anymore. Because it used to appear in Badlands 2, but now it doesn't anymore. The hazard's not the only enemy to exclusively do this, it's also the glitch, for example. The glitch could also spawn into Badlands 2, where you could get its logbook, but now since it doesn't spawn in Badlands 2 anymore, since the rework, you can't get its logbook entry anymore, and it's been removed from the index. However, there is one entry that you can't properly get anymore through, say, Badlands 2, where it used to appear, that being the tank. However, it still does have an entry. It doesn't appear here because they've disabled its, I think they've disabled its legacy variant, but they haven't disabled its modern variant for some reason. So to get all the logbooks, you still need, or to get all the index items, you need to get the tank logbook. Now, there are a couple of ways of getting it without currently, without going through Badlands 2 or not getting it grandfathered in. That being challenge maps, I believe, for example, Back to Basics, which is currently the map that is in rotation right now for the quests, you can actually get the tank spawning in, so therefore you can grind out the tank logbook through there, but obviously that's going to be a pain in the arse. But yeah, interestingly, they disabled like the glitch and the hazard, but they haven't disabled the tank for some reason. Yeah, health cultist, obviously one of the most annoying ones to get. They're heavy, fair enough. Hefty, looking like this is totally ugly. Now, hidden, for example, this is where I mean by please donate is considered its own game mode, because the hidden says it appears in all modes except please donate and fallen. I'm pretty sure if you have a please donate logbook or index item, it no longer appears here and you've removed it from your index. Same for the hidden boss because it's just hidden 2.0. Husk has a duplicate entry because of the reasons I mentioned before. The ice beacon, interestingly, is the only Operation Ice enemy not to have a description because I think the developers forgot to make one. Lava looking ugly. Head looking sheen, I guess. Same for the lead balloons, even though they're actually transparent. I didn't realize they were transparent. Same glitch with the balloon, it doesn't actually have the string attached to it. The lead boss is looking sheen like the lead. Meanwhile, the living experiment is just broken. The marionette doesn't have any strings for the same reason why the balloon kid doesn't have any strings. Interestingly, the molten appears, but not the legacy molten, which is in comparison to, say, the fallen mode, fallen enemy. Meanwhile, the molten demon is said to be an exclusive enemy because it spawns in from the molten summoner, I believe. But because it doesn't appear naturally, it's why it's called an exclusive enemy, even though it really appears in molten mode. Now, interestingly, even though the molten boss isn't here, the legacy molten Titan is here, and it says Molten Legacy. That's weird. I don't know why it says that, and yeah, it has the ugly appearance because of the cobblestone change. But even the Molten Titan, it's weird because its thing here, you can see the thing on its shoulder, it's not moving. It's anchored for some reason. I don't know why. Next, the mutated and the mutated boss. And then you got the mutated Speedy, all of these being Polluted Wastelands 2 enemies. No doubt that once the update for Polluted Wastelands 2 comes about, these will be duplicated. Then next, the mysteries, right? Legacy Hidden Wave. Yeah, it now mentions Legacy Hidden Wave by name now, for some reason, and that's a lie. It also doesn't appear in, say, Fallen mode, for example, or any of the current game modes, so I don't know why it says it appears in all game modes except Legacy Hidden Wave. Yeah, that's really weird. Necromancer appears in all modes except Molten and Fallen. Weird, doesn't mention any of the Legacy modes, but fair enough. 2 Necromancer boss entries for some reason. I don't know why, because there's no modern variant, I don't think. Meanwhile, Patient Zero, it just T-poses and breaks. Fair enough. Next, the radioactive slime. Its model doesn't load in for some reason. That's because I don't think developers have actually attributed it correctly, and it used to have a cat icon similar to the tutorial boss, which I'll get to later, but they fixed it. Now, the radioactive slime is meant to spawn in a goo, but due to a glitch, it spawns in slimes, so yeah, we are missing a logbook entry, which you could hypothetically get, but I doubt that the developers will actually fix it. And again, we'll just have to wait for Polluted Wastelands 2 to see if they actually fix it. The Reaper is also an enemy which has a legacy variant, but only the modern variant shows up. The Shadow Boss is probably soon going to be one of those enemies that you can exclusively get in the challenge maps after maybe the nuclear rework. We'll just have to wait and see for that. The Sin, meanwhile, is missing a leg. What? Oh no, it appeared back. What? Why was it missing a leg? Oh, was I just blind? Next, the Slow King, for some reason, has an orange shield. Now, I don't know why it's orange here. It must be something to do with Roblox textures, I assume, because it's, I think it's textured in a Roblox way. I don't know, but yeah, it's really weird that the icon is obviously pink, and then everything else, and elsewhere, it's pink. But in the lobby and lobby alone, it's orange. Next, we've got 2 separate summoner entries, because one of them is... Wait, the summoner isn't actually an exclusive enemy. It appears in all game modes, except for some reason... It's called the Necromancer, but internally it's called the Summoner. But it appears in all game modes, so this exclusive enemy tag isn't correct, and it's never referred to as a summoner, except it spawns, which is called Summoner Enemies. Meanwhile, the Summoner 2 is obviously a separate enemy that appears in Hardcore mode only, except even this is called the Necromancer boss, which actually doesn't appear in Hardcore mode. Actually, I lied. It only appears in Polluted Wastelands 2 for now. Now, Tank, I've already explained it, but it has a broken entry so that you can't see it anymore for some reason. I believe this is because it's like the modern variant, but it's coded to... It's weird. It's just weird. Let's just assume it's weird. Then you get the tutorial boss, obviously, looking with its cool cat icon, but obviously it actually loads in properly, which is cool, I guess. Undead Miner, looking very cool. Unknown, looking very cool. Unstable Ice. The Vindicator appears, looking ugly, and the Void Reaver also appears here, very cool. Voodoo Doll, then you get the Withered. What we're missing is the Warden. For some reason, the Warden doesn't appear here anymore, even though it is an enemy that you can still get from Hardcore mode, and it doesn't seem like it's been removed. It's been removed, but it's not been removed from the game. It's weird. This index is weird. And finally, of course, Wox the Fox being high for some reason. I don't know why it's so high on the thing when... Like, is the nuclear monster even that high? No, the tutorial boss isn't. But then, is the Void Reaver high? No, it's not. So why is Wox the Fox so high? I don't know. But yes, I now have all the logbooks and all the index icons and all the indexes as of the 16th of February as I make this video. Please add or stuff when they are added. For example, the Polluted Wastelands 2 rework.